If you know, you know. Now, if you know that Luke Campbell is a southpaw, then you should already know that he was going to give Lomachenko a tough fight because Lomachenko can't perform his favorite move, which is pivot to the right and take a certain angle and establish a dominant position for your lead foot. When you fight a southpaw, you can't do that, and that's why on my prediction, I told y'all, Luke Campbell will give Lomachenko problems because he's a southpaw and he could box, and I just didn't see Lomachenko walking through him. And I told y'all that on my live, so subscribe below, click on the notification bell to get notified every time we go live, and let's talk about the fight. So Luke Campbell gave Lomachenko a lot of problems, and that was due to the fact that Lomachenko, when he fighting orthodox fighters, he could establish his lead foot by taking a certain angle when he pivots to the right, and obviously he let his combination go and he positioned his body to be in the safe zone while doing so. However, versus a southpaw fighter, you can't do that, and that's why he looked ordinary tonight. And that's why I love the sport of boxing, because you got to be able to adjust. You got Floyd Money Mayweather. Whenever he fights, obviously he uses the Philly shell when he fights orthodox fighters. But when he fights southpaws, he don't use the Philly shell as much. And he fights southpaws differently. But regardless of his opponent's style or if they're orthodox or southpaw, he always adjusts and dominate his opponents. Unlike Lomachenko, who looked ordinary tonight, and Timothy Bradley started making excuses to why Lomachenko is looking ordinary, when it all comes down to his opponent's style and what his opponent brought to the table. And the fact that Lomachenko was not fighting a Corolla tonight who's not even ranked on the top 10. He was actually fighting a fighter that's ranked. Keep in mind, Lomachenko struggled with a fighter that's not even the second best in the division. I believe Devin Haney is better than Luke Campbell. Obviously, Luke Campbell also lost to Linares. So it's just a matter of styles and the fact that Lomachenko is not fighting a Corolla, a guy that's not even ranked on the top 10. So that's why he struggled with Luke Campbell, Bradley, not because of all the excuses that you made. So I'm dropping a video on that as well. And I dropped a video on Andre Ward schooling Timothy Bradley. I'll leave that in the description box below and on the comments. But the good news are Lomachenko still found a way to win, and he turned it up in the championship rounds. And obviously I had Lomachenko winning. However, I don't agree with the scorecard. I mean, the scorecards had Lomachenko dominating Luke Campbell, which that wasn't the case. And even though Luke Campbell was fighting in his hometown, he didn't get the benefit of the judges this time around. It seemed like Lomachenko was the hometown fighter, how the scorecard was scored. So I found that funny. But obviously, Lomachenko still got the win, and that's the main thing. But one thing for sure, he definitely not number one pound for pound, especially after that performance. And as we all know, Timothy Bradley claimed before the fight, depending on how Lomachenko looks versus Campbell, he might elevate him to the number one position on top of Terence Crawford. So I know for a fact he didn't think Lomachenko looked great tonight. But regardless of what Timothy Bradley thinks is irrelevant because he keeps contradicting himself time and time again. Now, in the meantime, Lomachenko managed to drop Luke Campbell during the fight. He turned up the heat and he scored a knockdown with a jab. And also, he turned up the heat and let combinations go, which looked good to the judges. And he was scoring by beating Luke Campbell on the inside. And that's the flaw that Luke Campbell had, is his inside game and mid-range game is kind of poor. That's why I didn't favor him to win the fight. I seen him give Lomachenko problems, but he lacked in certain departments to beat a guy like Lomachenko. However, I believe if Luke Campbell believed in himself more and then believed in the Lomachenko hype, he could have possibly won the fight if he turned it up in the championship rounds. But you got to have the it factor in order to do so. And Lomachenko showed that he had the it factor, unlike Luke Campbell. So at the end of the day, I don't want to hear any more comparisons of Lomachenko to Muhammad Ali, to the most gifted fighter since Roy Jones, blah, blah, blah. When Terence Crawford is the number one pound for pound fighter today, and he's a better fighter than Lomachenko. How y'all comparing Lomachenko to Roy Jones and Muhammad Ali, which is ridiculous, when he's not better than a Terence Crawford today? Is he even better than a Manny Pacquiao? And let's not even bring up Floyd Money Mayweather, because he will never top what Floyd Mayweather did, and he's just not the talent that Floyd Mayweather was at the time. So why are we going so far back to the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Roy Jones, the Muhammad Ali's, when he's not better than the fighters here today, like a Terence Crawford and possibly not even an Errol Spence? So, like I said, the comparisons are ridiculous and they need to stop. And after the Luke Campbell performance, people should know what time it is when it comes to Lomachenko. He's a good fighter and top 3 pound for pound, but he's definitely not number 1. And he's not the fighter the media try to hype him out to be. He's overhyped by the media, and that should have been exposed tonight. So I see Gervonta Tank Davis giving him problems, and a Devin Haney versus Lomachenko fight at 135 should be interesting. And obviously, the Shakur Stevenson fight. Those are very interesting fights and 50-50 fights, and they could possibly beat a Lomachenko. So, like I always say, subscribe below if you're trying to get smart about a minute. If you're trying to get dumb about a second, don't listen to these casual fans. Follow along Toon Boxing for the funniest boxing memes. Follow me at Aki TV. All the links will be in the description box below. And to be continued on the next episode of Aki TV. Peace, and we out.